that magic man delivers their presents every year. But as we grow older and wiser, we start to think that that maybe isn't the whole truth, and the disappearing mince pie and brandy has a lot more to do with your actual father than Father Christmas. But naysayers, I'm here to present a different point of view, and go with me on this one. What if Santa Claus is real? Well, he could be. And I'm not talking about magic, but actual science. What happens when we apply maths, formulas, and the laws of motion to a large man with a brandy addiction? But surely it's impossible for one man to deliver millions of presents to millions of homes in just one night. Not to mention the flying reindeer and sweatshop style elves. Well, depending on how naughty you've been this year, you might be pleasantly surprised. Let's take a look at the actual physics behind Santa Claus and find out if we shouldn't be so quick to disbelieve in a very old Christmas legend. So, one of the major issues that people have with the Big K Kringle is that he couldn't possibly visit every house on Earth in one night. But the thing is, he doesn't have to. To start with, he reportedly only visits children, of which there are 2 billion of on Earth. That's people under the age of 18. The average children per household across the world is roughly 3.5. So, that leaves 1 billion households for Santa to visit on Christmas Eve. And it's commonly been accepted throughout history that Santa doesn't visit children of non-Christian religions, such as Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, and Buddhist. So if we factor out those households, that leaves us with only 92 million homes for Santa to visit. That's significantly less. Also, Santa doesn't have to fit these all into 24 hours on Christmas Eve. If he travels from east to west, then he would have 31 hours in which to deliver presents, thanks to time zone differences. This leaves Santa with roughly 1,000th of a second to get down the chimney, deliver presents, and consume whatever treats have been left out for him. He would have to make 822 visits per second. A challenge indeed. And that brings us to the ever so complicated topic of flying reindeer. And I know what you're thinking, you ain't never gonna prove them to me, Mr. 42. Well, consider this. There are an estimated 300,000 species of living organisms yet to be classified on Earth. And there exists a bleeding snake that can fly, so who are we to say that there aren't flying reindeers somewhere out there? Argue with that logic, why don't you? But one of the biggest obstacles stopping Santa from being real is not magical deer, but the payload he would have to carry. Even if every child only received a small toy from Santa, around 800 grams on average, it would result on a payload on Santa's sleigh weighing 302 million kilograms. And that's not even counting all the coal for all the terrible little horrors out there. Now, consider that Santa would have to travel at 650 miles per second to get around all the required households on time for Christmas morning. 302 million kilograms travelling at that speed would exert a red nose shattering 13.5 quintillion joules of energy on each and every reindeer, due to the immense air pressure created at such speeds. At those pressures, Blitzen's going to get blitzed and Comet will turn into an actual comet. In short, Santa, his sleigh, and his reindeer would burst into a ball of flames and perish instantaneously after setting off from the North Pole. So yeah, Merry Christmas. But hold on kids, wipe away those tears, because 42, backed up by some scientific papers he just read, is about to save Christmas. The strange science of quantum mechanics allows for some physics-defying spectacles that seem to defy every scientific law you thought you knew. And if we apply the laws of quantum mechanics to Santa Claus, then it's possible that he is a macroscopic quantum object. Now this would allow him to be in multiple places at once, meaning he could deliver presents to every child on Earth simultaneously. There's also the added benefit that he can keep an eye on Mrs. Claus whilst he's away for the night, which is imperative after Elfgate of Christmas Eve 1984. Quantum mechanics is a branch of science that studies the very, very small, subatomic particles. It is our current understanding that these tiny particles, such as electrons, can be in 2 or more places in the universe at the exact same time, as long as nobody is watching. To prove this, scientists fired a single particle into an opaque plate that had 2 slits in it. The diffraction pattern on the other side of the plate revealed that this singular particle actually passed through both slits at the same time. However, when detectors were set up to monitor if the particle passed through each slit, it only passed through one slit at a time, but never both, just because it was being watched. Now, to put this as simply as possible, this happens because the particle's wave function collapses when it is being observed, so it can no longer be in two places at once. It's similar to how Mrs. Claus can be in a different place than she's supposed to be when Santa's not watching. Now, this explains why Santa Claus can never be seen, because if he were to be seen, his wave function would collapse. So, if this is true, how come we know Santa is a large jolly fellow and not an itty bitty little subatomic particle? Well, scientists have observed large clusters of particles that seem to behave as one single particle. Admittedly, these clusters of particles are nowhere near as large as our prospective Mr. Claus, but have some imagination for goodness sake. So, if Santa and his reindeer are a cluster of billions and billions of particles acting together as one, then he could, theoretically, still adhere to the laws of quantum mechanics and deliver lovely gifts to deserving children all over the world in just one night. This would also explain why his super secret Bond villain Death Star base of toy construction is